You're joking, aren't you? It's the Teesside Chef. Sticky, gooey, sweet and luscious golden syrup made at home. And I know you're all a little bit daft, but I promise even you lot can make this. So let's start by tipping 100 grams of sugar into a large pan on a medium heat. And we'll add 50 millilitres of water to that. And we're going to cook that on this medium heat until the sugar is melted. And I suppose the toughest part of this recipe really is all the waiting that you're going to have to do. Because it does take a while, but we're all used to waiting for things, aren't we? Like waiting for Brexit benefits or waiting for people to stop talking so we can empty our poorly researched opinions on them. Because we do that, don't we? Come on, admit it. And hey, if there's a bit of sugar on the side of the pan while you're doing this that hasn't melted, don't be scared to get a bit of water and a brush and just brush that down to stop it from crystallising on the side there, before continuing to cook away until we have the right colour, which I will show you after I've cut a slice of lemon. And this is a really important ingredient in this homemade golden sugar syrup, because the citric acid in the lemon will break the sugar into its component parts of fructose and glucose, and this will prevent crystallization. This process is called inversion, and that's why this is called invert sugar syrup. So there you go, you've learned something there. Hey, every day's a school day on my channel. But we don't want anything we've eaten to invert once we've tried this golden syrup, so we definitely have to pasteurise a glass jar and the lid with boiling water in preparation for our syrup. And I have a large half-litre jar here, as that's roughly the amount we'll be making. And now all parts of that jar and lid are covered in boiling water. We can get back on with the syrup, and we want to cook this syrup until it's a light but full golden colour. And as it cooks, it will slowly change colour. But there may be tricks of the light that make you think it's changing or not changing. So just occasionally, spin the pan around carefully so you're always getting an accurate interpretation of the colour in there. And as our starter syrup begins to change colour, knock the heat down to low to give you a bit more control, because it can turn quickly. And once the colour is like this here, a light golden colour, we can prepare for phase 2. And we want to add 300 millilitres of boiling water. And this is where things get a little hairy, so please be careful, because I would hate it if you took your face off doing this. Just pour that boiling water straight in, and it will get a bit excited when you do this. But don't worry, it won't go everywhere. But what you do have to remember when making this is to use a pan that is plenty big enough for the syrup, and I can't emphasise that enough. So let's gently place our thick slice of lemon in now, before adding 500 grams of sugar. And you don't have to be too scientific about this, just do it gently, because you don't want any of this splashing all over. And if you're not a responsible adult with their head screwed on, get a responsible adult with his or her head screwed on to help you. And you can go in and give this all a good slow stir now, and do go around the edges carefully to make sure there are no clumps of sugar sticking to those edges. We did mitigate the risk of this a little by brushing down any sugar from the sides of the pan with our clever water and brush a little earlier, but you may still get some clumping on the sides. But eventually, the syrup will come together, and any clumps will dissolve as we continue cooking the syrup on a low heat now. It's very important, once the syrup has been brought to a low simmer, to cook on a low heat. Cook this too fast, and you'll end up with toffee. So make sure the simmer never becomes a rolling boil. Slow and steady wins the race here. And you want to cook this syrup gently for 50 minutes, with the lid off, of course, to carefully boil away all that water that we put in, thereby turning a couple of simple ingredients into the magic of golden syrup. And the 50 minutes is up finally, so I can get the lemon out now very, very carefully, of course. And I've dried the jar I pasteurised earlier, so now I can pour the boiling hot mixture, very gingerly, into it. And it does look watery, doesn't it? But don't panic, because when it's cooled, the texture will change dramatically into the golden syrup that I promised you. And let's give you a rather poorly shot close-up of the golden colour, and it looks kind of beautiful to me, although I don't have very high standards. And of course you want to see what it looks like when it's cooled, don't you? So here it is, that sticky gooiness that never comes off the spoon properly and adheres to everything it touches, and that texture proves that I wasn't lying earlier. And speaking of stickiness, you lot can stick around on my channel for a bit now and watch some more of my hilarious videos. Go on then. Off you go. Sarah.